listening to the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast, where we explore the connection between a fit body and positive mental health. And our big mission? It's to help 10,000 runners to develop fitter minds in the next 2 years. I'm your host, Michelle Frost. Let's get moving. Welcome to this episode of the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast, where we talk to Michelle Hanlin. Michelle is a nurse from Adelaide, and she explains just what it's like when running takes over your life. Enjoy. Today on Fit Mind, Fit Body, I would love to introduce you all to Michelle Hanlin. Hello, Michelle. Welcome on
Hey,
board.
Michelle. It's good to be here.
What
nice
a great
to speak
name.
to a fellow Michelle. It is. It's
I
the best
know.
name.
We were just saying that. And 2 L's as well.
Absolutely. It's the only way.
We were saying what a popular name it was. I don't know. I feel like I'm a bit older than you, but it was certainly a very, very popular name when I was younger.
Yeah. About 1970s.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm actually a 1969. So
Yeah, well, I'm a 70, so, you know.
Oh, there you go.
The
Basically
Beatles
the
had a
same.
lot to answer for.
Yes, my dad
Yeah.
used to sing me that song when I was a kid. So there you go. I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah, no.
he's British. He said that he was he went and saw the Beatles before they were famous.
Oh, how cool's that?
I don't think they weren't singing Michelle then though, so I don't think. All right. Anyway, we could just giggle about Michelle's. It's not called a podcast about Michelle's, but it could be. We could maybe start one of those. That might
We
be
should.
be fun. Instead, let's talk about, well, not running yet, but we will. Let's start with where Michelle, not me, you grew up.
I grew up on Eyre Peninsula, so on a farm in the middle of nowhere, halfway between Streaky Bay and Ceduna, so about 750 kilometres west of Adelaide.
So you're a South Australian, born and bred, and still
Born and
live
bred.
there.
Yep.
For
Dragged
those
up.
of you who don't know, we've skipped ahead and Michelle still lives in South Australia.
Yep, sure do.
Oh, wow. So, and it was, you were saying before, it was a pretty tiny school you went to, pretty tiny town, all of that. So when you say tiny, what's tiny?
So I used to do a 110 kilometre road trip a day to get to school and back.
Wow.
We lived out of town.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there are about 150 to 200 kids from reception to year 12. When I went through, there were 6 of us in year 12.
No.
Yeah. Most of year 12 was done by year 11 and 12 was done by correspondence, but at the school with teacher support.
That's amazing. That's quite a different experience from what most people have had, obviously. But at the time, that's all you knew, I suppose.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. You don't. Yeah. So.
We went away, came back, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we spent a year living in our family beach shack before we moved back to our house a few years ago, and the kids were all in high school, and they had to go on the bus for about 45, maybe 60 kilometers. And we used to think that was a really long way for them, and we were being really bad parents. Making them go on the bus for that long. But you went on much longer, and they only did it for a year. It sounds like you did it for many years.
I only caught a school bus for 12 months.
Okay.
My mum was a teacher at the school, so she used to drive us to school. So we got to school early and left school late every day.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Did you get good at doing like schoolwork in the car? Or
practicing the clarinet, or not doing much at all, hiding in the back seat. Yeah. But we used to, once we got home, we used to go out on the farm and help with picking stumps or doing sheep work or whatever was happening. So we had to do our schoolwork mainly in the car or at school while Mum was doing her after school work.
So it was a real, busy sort of childhood, wasn't it? By the sound of it, like physically busy as well as all that travel every day. Wow.
Yep.
And how many...
I still like a good road trip.
Okay, that's good. Because I grew up on a tiny island, on King Island. I remember thinking, it was a really long trip to go the 30 kilometers from one side of the other island to the other. And to go to town, which I've since been back in the last year, and I used to think that was miles, takes about 5 minutes.
Oh, that's funny.
When you're young, though, everything seems so much bigger. It was crazy.
It does. It does. Yeah.
How that is.
Yeah. Nah.
How many siblings do you have?
I have got one younger brother.
Is he much younger?
No, he's 3 years younger. So he's about to turn 50, my little brother. That's a bit scary, isn't it? When he's turning 50. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I'm the oldest. And I've got four other siblings, but the youngest one is 18 years younger than me. So it'll be a while before she turns 50. The other three are already 50.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, bit of a gap there. But anyway, so you had quite an outdoorsy sort of childhood when you have the farm. What kind of farm was it?
Sheep and grain.
Okay.
So yeah.
Lots of running around?
Lots of running around, and the farm was on a beach, so lots of life on the beach, and running along the cliffs and the beach and fishing, and just lots of outdoors, but also before technology. So technology wasn't really an option.
Which is good.
Yeah. There was more of that now, but anyway.
Yeah. So it sounds like quite an idyllic, apart from the having to drive so far every day twice, it sounds like quite an idyllic childhood to me.
Probably now I look back on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
At the time.
Horrible. Because I only had my brother, and if you had a fight, and we used to fight all the time, you've got no friends around. You've got some sheep to talk to, or a kangaroo in the back paddock, but probably gave my mum a pretty hard time.
Oh, and what was sport like for you, Michelle, at school?
So sport for me was netball, tennis, chasing the sheep. Not a lot really, because we had to travel so far.
That's what I was thinking.
To get to anywhere. And if mum and dad couldn't get us there, and it was mainly mum, if dad was out in the paddock doing something, but if mum and dad couldn't get us there, then we didn't go. The closest town that we did sport was about 25 kilometres. That was Smoky Bay. And then about 35 to Wirrala, which is inland. And they're both really small towns. Most people wouldn't know or would have heard of Wirrala. Most people know now where Smoky Bay is, because they have the best oysters in the world.
Really? In the world?
In
Amazing.
The world.
I love
absolutely. I'll vouch for them. And I'm not affiliated with any of them. So they're just so good. So it was a long way. You'd drive probably out to Penong. It's probably about 100 and something kilometres one way. But the kids there now, my niece and nephews, they drive over 200 kilometres one way for a game of sport some weekends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they just join together a few teams and a few associations, and it's just a lot further for them to drive now.
Yeah. It's the parents, it's such a big thing for parents to
huge,
like a big commitment for parents. I think those kind of
absolutely huge distances. I remember my kids playing soccer, and we'd walk 5 houses down to the local oval for most of the games, or across to the school, which is about 4 houses, for them to go. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Very different.
It is. It's quite different. Yeah. So at school, you obviously still did carnivals and things like that, or the annually.
At school we did just your normal sports day. For the school, which wasn't very big. Into school sports once a year. A swimming carnival. You should see the swimming pool. I think it's about 13 meters long.
13 whole meters.
Yeah. We were lucky, because the beach at Streaky Bay, where I went to school, the beach is beautiful but very, very tidal. More likely to have a running race on the sand.
Way out.
And then an inter-school swimming carnival at Carcolderby, which is inland again. Once a year.
And what do you remember about those races?
Oh, jeepers. I was probably the most unsporty person in my team. I was in Waratah, which was red. And I was only ever chosen I was a teacher's kid too. That was hard work, being a teacher's kid in a small country school. Didn't live in town with the other kids. So
you had that
you weren't, didn't catch a school bus and have that time to build up friendships.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing a photo of me in a school magazine, and I think I ran an 800-meter run because no one else wanted to do it. And I remember completing it, dead last, but I remember completing it. And the same for a swimming carnival. In about, I think it was year 11 or year 12, no one wanted to do butterfly, and we all had to do at least one event. And so I ended up getting the swimming medal that year because I actually did 2 events because no one else wanted to do butterfly. And so I got more points than the really good swimmers. I'd done 1 more event than them.
Go you.
Yeah.
They're a statistician as well.
Yeah. So, it worked. So no, I wasn't very good. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't very good.
So you did enjoy it though. Like that's an interesting thing. I think that when you look back at sport, and did you enjoy it because you did well, or did you enjoy it, because of how it made you feel, or you just intrinsically enjoyed moving your body? Versus avoiding probably. It like the plague, like a lot of.
Well, we didn't have a choice being on the farm. My brother and I used to have competitions to see who could lift the biggest stump or the biggest stone into the trailer at quite a young age.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you were building up muscles at quite a young age doing that.
Not realizing what you're doing, but
yeah. So competitive. So you and your brother were quite competitive, do you think?
Only with each other.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah, only with each other.
Yeah, my brother and I are very competitive. He's one boy with what is it? 4 girls. So.
He needed to be.
Yes, he did, and I certainly didn't allow him to. I do remember, because boys, if they have the same training or whatever, they get faster, which is just unfortunate. I still remember the day that happened. I wasn't happy. Being 3 years younger than me, like your brother.
You. Oh, that 3-year age bracket's not the best, I don't think.
No, that's right. All right. So you did year 12.
Yep.
And then what did you do at the end of year 12?
I came to the Big Smoke to start nursing.
Which is, you're in the Big Smoke now?
Yeah, in Adelaide.
The same Big Smoke?
The same Big Smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I left a sheep farm in the middle of nowhere with no neighbours to live in the nurses' home at a big teaching hospital.
Oh, was that a culture shock?
Oh, shit, yeah.
It sounds like a culture shock to me.
I honestly don't know how I survived. I just do not know how I survived. And across the road from a big pub, I was just 17. And you went there in your uniform. You had to have been 18 to go there in your uniform. I never picked up smoking. I tried it a few times because all nurses smoke cigarettes and drank coffee. I don't know. Actually, maybe we should try smoking coffee. That might work better on night duty. I'll keep that in mind. And I never got into the smoking, which was a good thing. Didn't like coffee for a long time.
Yeah.
But you just go across the road, and if you're in your uniform, they used to serve you a drink. So it was a multi-story building. Yeah, we lived on our year. We're on the 4th floor.
Yeah,
with medical students and other nurses above us, but there were always security guards, and the old matron used to come around and check that you're in your rooms, and it was shut between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. and
it's not like that anymore, is it? Like nursing.
No.
It's it's a university, then whatever.
That's right. Yep.
They don't all get put into, like my mum did nursing. She went obviously 20 odd years before you from King Island to Melbourne. So She had this probably from a farm.
Similar. She would have had a very similar.
Exactly. Because I know she talked about matrions and stuff like that to me over the years. And I went, oh, sounds like fun.
Oh, no. Like if you were ever off sick, there'd be a knock on the door to check that you were actually in your room. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You wouldn't dare check up on someone ringing in sick these days.
So apart from going to the pub, what did you do in your time? Spare time, free time, whatever it's called.
Just went out between lates and earlies, went to nightclubs. There was no sport, no exercise, no nothing.
Wow. How long did that go on for?
Yeah.
Till about last week sometimes.
Yeah, about earlier this week. No, went on for a while.
Yeah.
But
with lots of your nursing buddies, I assume you made lots of friends.
Yeah, lots of buddies. But again, it was a pretty people would move in and move out. I only stayed in the nursing home for about 12, 18 months.
Okay.
And then moved into a flat because that seemed like the big kid thing to do. Then got a car, so you didn't have to catch the bus to try and get to work with shift work. A little Cortina. And then, met my kid's dad along the way, and moved into a house. And that was, I had quite a few flats because it was a transient sort of lifestyle, I suppose, with people finishing their studying, changing jobs. And then met my kid's dad and moved into a house just around the corner, really, from where I live now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you finished your nursing degree or whatever they call it back then, and then you go nursing. So where did you go nursing? I've
stayed in Adelaide most of the time.
And did you stay in the same hospital, like the same hospital?
No. Yep. And I've got "Do Not Return" written on my chest for that hospital, tattooed on the chest.
Okay. We don't need to name the hospital.
No. It was a pretty traumatic experience for a just 17-year-old from the country. It was. And you didn't have. I used to go home. When I was at home, I couldn't wait to leave home. Yeah. And then once I got there, I used to catch the bus, the 10, 12-hour journey back home as often as I could.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was no saving money. I was just going out partying and trying to catch the bus home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and when did you get your driver's license?
Oh, the day I turned 16.
Yeah. So you could have had a car and then driven instead of catching the bus. That's all.
Yeah. No, I did that after a while. But not
initially.
Not initially, no.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't driving in Adelaide. That was a bit scary.
Well, as coming from King Island, I totally understand that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We had a cleaner here at our house when our kids were little, because I got 5, and so I needed someone to help me.
Absolutely.
Anyway, she lived up here at the top of Tasmania, where I live, or in Launceston, near Launceston, and she had never driven in Hobart, so like our bigger city. It's quite interesting that the whole mental stuff you have to get around to do some of that.
Isn't that funny though? And like from Launceston to Hobart's really not that far.
2 hours, 2.5 hours with the roadworks, almost 3 hours.
3 with a stop at Ross, for a coffee or to some sightseeing or something. But
they have a nice bakery there.
They do. I haven't been there for years, but yeah.
And they have a run as well.
Oh, I've done a few walks, but I haven't. No, I haven't done it.
Oh, you should.
I've only done park runs in Tasmania.
Park run tourism.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I used to go to Tassie for work, so.
I see.
So I do a park run in Launceston and then a park run in Hobart.
That's very cool. I like that. I love that. Yeah. Oh, before we get onto your running, well, maybe to get onto your running, how did that start? So you're a nurse, you've moved into a house with your children's Dad?
And I was at home. I wanted to do, our annual Adelaide run is the City to Bay. It's just from the city down to Glenelg, in about September every year. And I'd been wanting to do that before I turned 40. So at 42.
How far is it? Sorry, just
12 kilometres. Gentle downhill, just downhill, but there's certainly not like some of the others with a hill or a bridge or anything in between. The first K, I think, is a gentle uphill, and then it's then basically all downhill. So it's quite a fast 12 kilometres for those who are into racing. I can't remember what the record is for it, but maybe 27 minutes, or it's quite a fast 12K anyway. So I'd been home, had my 3 kids, hadn't been exercising, wanted to get into exercising, and a dear girlfriend Margie had said, do you want to come to Step Into Life with me? And I went out wearing, oh my goodness, I just remember the daggiest, biggest t-shirt I could find to hide my fat, and the daggiest tracksuit pants and these clunky New Balance walking shoes, and went along to this exercise class. And that was in about July, August, and there was the City to Bay coming up in the September, because I'd tried training for it in a couple of years before, and I didn't know how, I didn't know where to go to look to learn to run. And I used to go out with a neighbour and run, and he was younger, fitter, and I'd be worn out in 100 metres, and then just go, I can't do the rest of it. And we're only 1.5 kilometres from the coast, and I couldn't even get myself to the beach to run along the beach. So I'd turn around and come home again. So instead of going slow and, getting a bit further, I used to go out and run as hard as I could and go, no, I can't do any more, come home again. Hard. So I went to this exercise class with Margie, and they were training for the City to Bay, or about to start training for the City to Bay, and it's like, yes. So I went along to the training runs, I went along to the exercise classes, and that year I did, so this was in July, August, in the September, I did the 12 kilometres.
Oh, wow. You obviously spun that around.
Oh, no. The PT lied to me, because there's a 6 kilometre option. And she told me it was cancelled that year. And because I didn't know any better, I believed her. And that was about 10 years ago. Just over 10 years ago.
So that's how you started, and that was your first run. Like you trained for an event. Yep.
And I don't like pink, and I had this little pink Polar watch, and I think it was a second-hand one of my mum's. I don't think I bought, or whether I did get it through Kerry, the PT. And I remember looking at it, and it was saying, 1 kilometre, however many minutes it took you, and I was playing mind games with myself, trying to add, they weren't games, maths games, I should say, and trying to add up how far I did that kilometre and how long it was going to take me to do the next kilometre, and there were kilometre markers, and oh my goodness gracious,
that's impossible. I'm sorry, that was a really rookie mistake there. That's
it was my first run.
I don't know, no matter how many runs you've done, trying to do that kind of arithmetic when you're in a race, I am like, it had people giving out super duper ice blocks on the side of the road, and there were little bands every now and then playing, and there were crowds on Anzac Highway, which the most of it is along, which is 3 lanes in and 3 lanes out of the city. So for Adelaide, it's a big running event, and that gets shut down the whole road, and it's a big day out, but I finished it. Wow. And how did you feel when you finished? How did you feel?
Elated. It was amazing.
It's like, what's next?
Well, exactly. Well, Kerry's claim to fame is she taught me how to run, but she didn't teach me how to stop. So so I remember doing a couple of 10K runs around the river, over the River Torrens in the city that summer, and then nothing much until, so that was in September. Then I did my first half marathon in the May the next year. Wow. And then there was, you went on to a marathon, and the person I was training to do a marathon with lived close by, and there was this thing called, when you start to get into an activity, it doesn't matter what it is, you get contacts and you hear about more activities along the same line. And there's this thing called an ultra marathon, and it was up through the hills around the city. And so the next year, when I did my first half marathon and then marathon, and then it's like, we've got this long distance training under our belt, only May to September, why don't we do Eurobilla, this 56-kilometre ultra marathon, and just keep going with the long distance training?
Wow.
And then you meet these people, and there's this thing called Hyson 105. Oh, let's look at that for next year. So this year we'll course mark it and volunteer at it, and then buddy run someone. So we were there from like 5 a.m. to 11:45 when Kelly and Matt finished. That we were buddy running, and then the next year, you attempt to run that.
So who's the we? Who are you dragging along?
So it was just someone who lived nearby. That, well, no, I was being dragged because
okay.
they had done a marathon before. I hadn't, so I didn't know what I was getting into. Yeah. So
the two of you just kept because a lot of people will finish a marathon and go, I'm never doing that again. Or and then a few weeks later they go, okay, no, where's my next marathon?
Road marathons suck. I've only ever done one official road marathon since then. Oh my goodness. Left, right, repeat. Just give me an ultra marathon that's a travelling picnic any day.
So how did you discover that? So that was doing the 56. Was that a trail?
Yeah, the 50. Yeah, it is a trail. It's one of the most beautiful trails, and it's a really. This might sound a bit of a contradiction, but it's a really easy ultra marathon to do because it's only about 5 to 6 Ks between each aid station. So really, it's only 11 park runs. You're never more than
11 park runs.
That's right, in a row. Yeah. So you're never more than 2.5, 3 Ks. I've seen people do it with nothing but a little handheld water bottle, because you only got to get 5 Ks, and then there's a food station. And the older guys who first started Eurobilla used to have fruitcake and rice pudding. So when I got involved in helping organise Eurobilla, we used to try and have those solid whole foods again, and have the aid station where they used to have rice pudding, have rice pudding there, and have fruitcake at the aid station they had fruitcake at.
That's why you call it a picnic.
That's what ultra marathons are, isn't it?
Traveling picnic. I really need to
you run, you eat, you run, you eat.
Well, I was race director for the convicts and wenches here for a little while, the 50K.
I looked at doing that. Yeah,
that's obviously where I fell down. Like, we did have watermelon and lollies and things like that, but no rice pudding and fruitcake that I'm aware of. Anyway. Oh well,
that was their thing to do. So I think it was Terry's wife who used to make the rice pudding and the fruitcake. Yeah,
I love that. That's just awesome. Yeah. So you kept going. So why do you think you kept going after this little, this start of it, and then you ran the marathon, and you ended up in this sort of trail world? Do you think if you hadn't ended up in the trail world, maybe you wouldn't have? Or it would be different.
I think it
park run or something.
Would have been,
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, it would have been very different. Would have been very different. My social life or lack thereof would be very different. Wouldn't have met as cool a people as I've met. But I was an outdoors country kid, and I think that appeals with trails. There's a lot less people. I don't like people very much.
I'm not that keen either.
Give me a good dog lick any day to people.
I love a person. I just don't like people. If that like lots of people.
I'm with you. Lots of people.
I like talking to people, but I don't like them all together in one space together at the same time.
No, exactly. Not ever having a neighbour and growing up with just mum, dad and a brother, so there still wasn't a lot of us. I still don't like lots of people in a shopping centre. I'll still look to see that there are 2 exits in case one is blocked when I go into a building.
Wow.
It's interesting.
Are you live in a suburban sort of environment now?
Yeah, but we've bought some property in the southern Flinders Ranges to move to down the track because there's less people up there. Yeah, we have.
That makes sense.
It's a lot less people-y. But also it's a lot more central to lots of cool things, trails and the beach, and than what we are here. I think if I hadn't got into trails, I wouldn't have run as much. Life would be very different because I really don't enjoy road running. But the trails, you've got trees and koalas and green things and wildlife. Like the trails in the Flinders Ranges, there's emus and kangaroos and wallabies and like the trails in Tassie. I went and did Tassie Trail Fest with Chris Ord, out of Launceston across to the east there when he first did that. Oh my goodness gracious me, the greenery and just amazing. And up, what's it called, Blue? And not quite Scottsdale. Blue Blue Derby
at
mountain
Derby.
bike
At
Derby.
Yeah.
And then another little.
Or the drag, I don't know. Anyway,
it was at Derby.
Yeah, at Derby.
There's mountain bike trails. They closed them for us for a few hours each day, and there was somewhere else. It was just these big trees and ferns and amazing.
So you've done heaps of travelling now with your ultra trail running.
I wouldn't say heaps, but I've seen some pretty cool places. Because you've still got family and work and. Financial commitments and traveling and doing these things. I know. It gives you the shits, really.
Exactly. Stop it.
Can I just have the money without actually having to do the work? Get the money
your kids feed yourself and get yourself where you need to go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They're all adults, so there's grandkids now.
Me too.
So they. Yeah, how cool are grandkids? Happy birthday, Xavi. Number 3 is 5 today.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, the oldest little boy.
That's
amazing.
So
cool. Started school yesterday, 5 today.
That is like ticking off all those little milestones.
Oh, I still, when I hug him, I still sniff him.
Oh,
you sniff babies.
Well, my grandchildren are a long way away. They're in Queensland and in the top of Northern Territory. Not Northern Territory, New South Wales. They're all basically in Queensland.
Bugger.
But I do get to see them every now and then, but not as often as if they live down the road.
No, these ones live an hour away. So, when you get to see them, you make sure you hug them and sniff them and kiss them.
Most. I do still have 2 at home as well, plus a girlfriend. So it's not like I'm without.
No, well, my youngest has moved back home with a boyfriend. So, but that just means we've got dog sitters and house sitters for when we go away.
I think that too, actually. I love that. Yes.
Oh no, I was going to say it's handy, and it's a different relationship having adult children at home doing that than having kids that you're responsible for. It's a different lifestyle, different responsibility.
Yeah,
I think as parents we're always there and always responsible for them, but it's different.
Yeah, it is. I do wish that they would be more responsible for stacking the dishwasher and occasionally saying, yes, I'll cook a meal. But apart from that, I don't have to do anything.
Yep. And if your room's a mess and your bed's not made, shut the door. I don't care.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's my life. And they can drive themselves around, which is handy.
Yes. And us around too. So we have been dropped off a few times.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Me too. What do your kids think about your running? How do your family? Because they would have known you before and after.
Yeah. So the 2 girls, I've got a boy and then 2 girls. The 2 girls actually did City Bay with me one year and dressed up and made the local paper.
That's amazing.
The advertiser dressed as Mexicans with their moustaches and their ponchos on. And they've also we did a fundraising run for Emma McEwen, her name is now, who was in the Australian team for, I think it was the 100K team, for her to be able to get there around the Uni Loop, which is just in the city between the Women's and Children's Hospital and just behind the zoo. That's a really cool place to run, because first thing in the morning you hear the lions and the monkeys and chimps waking up. And they came and did a 6-hour event there with me once. But apart from that, none of them are exercise people or have been to a finish line and been there to cheer, or I think it's just something that mum does and it's accepted, but there's no outward support or Rachel did bring little Zadie, who's 5 today, so his mum, who's my middle child. We had Felix stay with us. Felix Weber from Germany stayed with us for a while, and when he was running the Heisen Trail, he ran the length of the Heisen Trail in about 5 minutes or something like that. Maybe not quite the 1200 Ks, but and Xavier was almost maybe 6 minutes. Was quite a young baby, and we used to go out and meet up and have a little picnic while we're waiting for Felix to come through. So that was pretty cool. Yeah,
that is awesome.
But my kids don't really have anything to do with me running.
So do you think, though, them seeing you as a runner, as an adult, means that they think, well, that's part of my genetics. It's in my toolbox. If I ever want to do it, it's there. Like, it's not, if you haven't had an experience of things, or your family haven't been demonstrated in your family, it seems a little bit further removed from your life, activities.
I'm the first runner my parents ever met. I'm the first marathoner my parents ever knew the name of.
That's amazing.
So running's not in my genetics.
But it is now.
It is now, yeah. Hopefully the kids will pick up exercise, like, for your mental health as well as your physical health. Even just getting out and walking the dogs is good. Just walk down to the beach, watch the sunset, take them for a lap around the oval, just getting out and getting that fresh air, hopefully. But then they didn't see me pick it up until later. So maybe they think you don't have to pick it up until later. But
But
and
you've got your grandkids too.
That's right.
Only known you as a runner.
And I take the younger ones to the park when we do, whether we're walking or I'm carrying them or in a pram or however, we get out and go and do something, because it wears them out as well, makes life easier for you.
Yeah, that sounds good.
You need to do active things with kids. So hopefully down the track something will come of it. But I'll be there for them if they want to do something. I will crew them, buddy run them, be there with them, anything, because that's so much fun.
Yeah. What sort of nursing are you doing at the moment?
I'm just transitioning into ED, but I'm generally a surgical nurse. Okay, so looking after people before and after operations.
Yep. And so you're going into emergency. That's what ED is.
So the emergency department.
Emergency.
Keeping the brain ticking, learning new things. It's very different to being on a ward. That's for sure.
Because you don't know what's coming in the door any minute, I suppose.
No, you don't. No. And I've done some. I'm nowhere near doing triage. Need a bit more experience before we even consider that. I've worked in a day surgery and with a high turnover, 50 patients a day. So you see 50 come in through the door and out through the door. And you certainly don't get those numbers, and you're not in your shift in an emergency department. But also with the day surgery, you see them come in, the completion of their procedure, what's wrong with them, and then off they go again. For whatever reason it may be. You don't see that in the emergency department generally. They may come in with a a cut that needs stitches, and you see them come in with their issue and fixed up and go again. But quite often they'll go off to the ward or go somewhere else or discharged and referred for a procedure somewhere else, or at a later time as an outpatient, so you don't get to see that completion. You don't have that continuity of care with them. So and very rarely would you come back the next shift and that patient's still there. So it's very different. Lots of thinking on your feet, lots of lateral thinking, problem solving, a lot more of that than there is in a general hospital ward. And different.
Why you moved to?
I did. It certainly wasn't a plan. I've given up my permanency. That was getting really tricky with having a permanent job, with doing all the things I'm doing with Ultra Series and traveling around the country with Ultra Series. Roster coordinators don't like you requesting, and it's like, I can give you the dates, approximate dates for 2 to 3 years out. No, that doesn't work. And I saw a shift, agency nursing. I saw a shift for an emergency department one day and said, look, I haven't done it before. Would they be willing to have me? Because I'm available for that shift. And they said yes. And I like them and they like me, and hit the ground running. Yeah.
So you're I can't say you're part-time or full-time. Or is that called agency?
I'm casual, so I work, but and I'm mainly through the agency. I still have a casual job in another hospital as we speak at the moment.
But, so you could have as many hours as you want, basically, but it's under your like you said.
And if I'm unavailable, because Sunday I fly out to Western Australia for Delirious West 200 miler next week. I don't have to apply for leave. I just cross myself off on the roster. I'm not available for X amount of days. And so it's also my risk that I may not get any shifts or may not get enough shifts because I'm not I don't have that permanency and those guaranteed shifts. But it's a lot easier life-wise and a lot less stress. And it makes me a bit happier person, not having to put up with those stresses and what goes along with that.
But you're still doing shift work.
A
stressor in itself.
It's a huge stressor.
Challenging. One of the people I run with regularly does shift work, and she's a nurse. And it's like, I just don't know how you do it, and has done it all, all the way through her career. It's such a hard thing to do. I think that, changing of your sleeping patterns all the time. And
I don't really know any different. I've mainly done shift work, except for when I was coming to Tassie for work. That was office hours as such. I was teaching at different universities around Australia. And so, spent some time at UTAS.
Very cool.
And, so I used to try and get in a run before or after work those days, but it was all daylight, so you didn't have to worry about running in the dark. Except for winter in Tassie is a bit running in the dark, but that's that's okay. That's right. So I used to run home from work in winter. And to our Airbnb. But apart from that, I've mainly done shift work. So there's positives to shift work as well, because you can, your work day's done by 2:30, 3 o'clock, or, I've got night duty. I had night duty last night and I've got night duty again tonight. So, it gives me time now to have dinner with the family and talk to you.
Yes. Aren't we lucky?
And and at this time of the year, the sun's setting as I drive off to work, and you drive to the setting sun, and it's just beautiful being outside. I know I'm driving, I'm not outside walking or anything, but still getting to see the sky and coming home with the sky changing color. It's gorgeous.
So how do you fit in your training with what I think is still quite a busy life?
My training at the moment is starting again. So I had a bit of a hip niggle, which I think might be a bit menopause related, about 18 months ago, and I wanted to be a part of Hysterical Carnage, which is the last man standing at Loxton in the Riverland here in South Australia.
Yeah.
The one that had a sudden finish early in the piece.
30 laps
in November
or
last
something,
year.
or 30.
Yeah, 30 laps in. Yeah, and it was me who made the call to call it off.
Oh, good
but
on you.
It was yeah. We've been watching
weather
apps and lightning apps and holy shit balls. That was fucking horrible. But and tears were shed, not by the runners, by me. But so the first running of that was my birthday weekend the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was being a part of the inaugural last man standing in South Australia on my birthday. I was doing, and I shouldn't have, because I knew my hip wasn't up to it, and the stairway to heaven right at the start is just shit. If you like, it was a sand hill that year. It's steps now, or we'll see what it is after the floods, but they might have to rebuild some steps, I think. And I didn't exercise for quite a while after that, and just starting to get back into it. And 2 months ago, I broke a toe. So if it's not flat, I can now do things that involve putting pressure on your toes, strength work, and just, squats and things like that. It's amazing how much you rely on your toes once you've got a broken one, and you can't. So I haven't done trails. It has to be flat road at the moment, or my foot just wouldn't cope with it. So I'm back at almost square one.
Oh, how frustrating.
Yeah, fairly. Yeah. So I've got some new tarkeen sitting there waiting for me to wear, and I'm going to get back out there. So I've done, I think, 3 park runs in the last 2 months, and that's it.
Oh, wow. You must be pulling hair out.
Yeah, it's not much to pull out, but yeah.
So instead of going for a run, you are busy helping organise other runs.
Others, yeah. That's good fun. Oh, everyone should get on in that gig and at least volunteer and see, because I'm a back of the pack runner. I think that's where the party happens, but you only see whether you're a front of the pack runner, mid pack runner, it doesn't matter where you sit in an event, you generally only see those runners that are the same speed as you. Or bunny hop when one stops at an aid station, the next one keeps going, unless it's the last man standing. That's what I love about that, is it brings everyone back, levels the playing field. You may not be going to get as many laps as Phil Gore's getting, but you still get to start. For me, as one of the slower runners, I still started each lap with Phil at the same time. I was, we were there together. So it levels things out like that. So, but volunteering, no matter the length of the event, you get to see all the runners. Unless there are different loops for different distances to do, but you get to see the fastest ones and the slowest ones and everyone in between. So I love that. You get to support everyone, not just be there and see a few people.
Those people around you.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
And we do a lot of handicap running here, the handicap races. So that means we all start at a different time. So the slower runners tend to start first, and then the fastest runs start at the end.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's not the same as everyone starting off a gun. But of course, you still have the same people that you hang out with, because
that's
catch
the
same.
How do you go with people self-seeding themselves and maybe not quite getting their seeding correct?
Yes, it is. That is the handicappers. The bane of a handicapper's life is people that they don't, you don't have any pedigree for, if you like, or don't have any history. They don't know what their running thing is, and so they have certain formulas and stuff. It's quite a complicated, but basically try to get everybody to finish within 5 minutes. That's their main aim, depending on the distance. But it means that anyone who starts technically could win. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah. It
is.
So similar to what you were saying, except that you do tend to, because we do them every week during winter, you do tend to run around the same people each, because you often start in a similar kind of pack. But
gives
anyway.
those faster ones someone to chase, doesn't it? A rabbit to chase.
They always have someone to chase.
Yeah,
Because they
instead
often
of being
don't get up there.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, instead of being out in front and not knowing where anyone is, that'd be a different mind game to being at the front the whole time, which I've seen, lots of runners be, and you don't know, they're looking over their shoulder because they don't know where the next person is.
Yep.
And how close behind them.
Yeah.
And it must take a very different headspace and a good headspace to be able to lead from the front, from the start, and stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Then, look, there's someone, let's try and catch that person.
Yeah, it is. It's quite different. I wonder whether sometimes it would mean that you'll run faster because there's always someone to catch, as opposed to, as you said, just running off by yourself.
I've done that once. I wouldn't say I'm a competitive person, but one event, it was a Jodie Lee Foundation, so a fundraiser walk or run for bowel cancer a few years ago. One of the girls in our team got blisters and stopped, and so she was walking, so I walked with her. And then when she stopped, the rest had all gone and run on. I went, oh no, I'll keep going to the finish, and I decided to start running because it's just different on your body with what you're doing, and I find running more gentle on my body than a long distance walk. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna see if I can catch that person. And then I started counting how many I picked off, and that got addictive. It was only for one little event, just for an hour, but it was really, I was like, oh, can I catch the next one? Can I catch that? They were walking or really slow jogging, and it's not the point. I caught up with them and I passed them.
And it made you feel, I know I was coming back from an injury a couple of years ago and started going to one of our local park runs, and it's a 2-lap one. And so I would run with my husband, was also coming back from an injury and was a bit slower at the time. So I'd go the first lap, slowly with him. And then as I started getting stronger over the weeks, the second lap would be a fast one, and I'd be catching everyone, and I'd be like, oh, this is awesome.
That's cool. That's cool.
It was only because I was doing it like that, because I didn't start off. Anyway, I totally
It's
understand.
nice sometimes. It's good for a bit of headspace sometimes to actually be able to catch up and pass, and give you a bit of incentive to keep going and keep training. And
exactly. What would have been your favorite run that you have run in? What's your rave run?
I still really like Eurobilla, that 56K locally here.
You've done it a few
koalas.
Times. You haven't just
have. No, I've done it 3 times and helped organise it a few times. I haven't been involved with it for a few years now. But that's one of my favourites, just because of the koalas, I think.
We don't have them here. we don't have koalas in Tassie.
Do you know, when we went to the Blue Mountains for Unreasonable East in the middle of last year, in between floods, thankfully, I saw a koala in the Blue Mountains.
Oh, wonderful.
And apparently that's almost, I was out course marking with a girl who she hadn't course marked. So I was showing her how to course mark, and she knew the trail. So we worked really well together. And there's a koala. And I went to report it, and they're like, can you give us a pin drop of where it is? There aren't very many. And I've been followed up with sense. Have you seen it again? It's like, no, because I'm in South Australia now. But there aren't very many there.
You must have your eye in. You must be
but it made a noise. It made a noise. So it wouldn't have known where it was. But I also love the Flinders Ranges. And I'm so excited for Irrational South to be headed up to the Flinders, because the Flinders is a really special part of the world, which is one of the reasons we've bought property there. But it's just absolutely divine. The colours, the sights, it's like everywhere else on earth, but nowhere else on earth all at the same time. It's just amazing.
Just beautiful.
Yeah. Just beautiful, with the rocks and the different colour trees and the different colour soils. Just beautiful.
So what can you think of a run, being a training or a race, where you've just had that flow experience, where it was just everything seemed to be going right? Just felt awesome.
And until probably Adelaide Marathon, which is a really windy up and down course, and I was heading for a sub 2 hour, which is fast for me. Wow. And the person running next to me said, "Oh, you're going to get sub 2 hour today," and everything was going beautifully.
Are you doing the half marathon?
The half marathon.
Oh,
yep. And everything was just beautiful, and that comment was made, and I stopped because I didn't think I deserved a sub 2 hour.
Oh, Michelle.
I did. So I did 2:01 after stopping at the last aid station for a while.
Wow.
But every year was just beautiful.
Everything was flowing.
Yeah, it was just did well.
So because you didn't think you deserved it?
Yep, I stopped.
Why don't you think you deserve it?
I don't know. Now I look back on that and think, you idiot, you absolute idiot. Flick that little birdie off your shoulder.
Yeah.
Absolutely you do. So I hadn't been running that long at the time, so maybe I thought, there's lots of talk about you should only increase your distance by this amount of time per week, like which is an absolute safety, which is an absolute safety issue, so you don't injure your body. And people should be running for X amount of time before they attempt a half marathon or marathon or whatever, and no one had ever told me that, and because I didn't know these things, I just did things. But I don't know. I honestly can't tell you why I thought I didn't deserve it and stopped.
Isn't it funny how for me to hear something like that, if I had stopped, it might be because, oh shit, maybe I'm going to blow up in a minute. I'm obviously running too fast. I'm obviously going to blow up. And so I'd be afraid.
Oh, no.
More afraid.
We were within a kilometre of the finish line.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I stopped.
Yeah. You wouldn't do that now.
Oh, no way. No way. I'll be going, fuck you, and off with you.
Get out of my way.
Off I go.
I'm coming through.
I have done that once, coming down the finish line of the old Eurobilla finish is downhill along a goat track.
Yeah.
And I remember coming along in summer and it was like, stand aside, coming through. And I wet my pants. I was trying so hard at coming down that finish line, swinging through the trees.
Part koala.
But, yeah, or monkey or something. But yeah, that little bit of trails changed, and they've changed the finish where you finish now for Eurobilla, so there's not that coming down the finish line now.
So you have really got into the whole helping organize, like that's become a big part of your life.
It has, and I didn't mean to. It just was one of those things that happened, and I enjoyed it, and because I love helping, I love volunteering, and you did get to see everyone, and you get to be more involved, and see more people and do more things, and it's really good.
Without volunteers, a lot of those events, they wouldn't even be possible. There's no there are people
way
prepared to do it.
There's no way. I don't get how people just, and it's generally the ones who complain are the ones who never volunteer and have never rocked up and have never helped. But that's the same at work or anywhere. It's the ones that, anywhere you get those same people. You smile and do what you got to do and account for them all, and hopefully you don't lose anyone.
Exactly. When you're training and when you're not injured, what does a normal training week look like for you?
Or
does it depend what you're training for?
Yeah, it depends what you're training for. Yeah. A few years ago, I was dragon boating as well as running, and I was in the state team. So those training weeks, I would run up to 16 kilometres one way to training for dragon boating, plus do your strength work, plus your paddling training, plus.
Wow.
And that was good fun.
How do you have time for it?
You don't sleep.
You just don't sleep.
So but I've set up some weights in a spare bedroom, because when the kids move out, you end up with spare bedrooms. So I've set up some weights in a spare bedroom, and I need to have a chat with my physio, because when I did weights at the physios, I could do a lot heavier than what I do at home by myself. I need to work on my mindfulness and my faith in myself that I can lift and it is safe to do so by myself. Yeah. Thought you'd like that.
Someone to talk to about that. I do like that.
Yeah. And I was only having that chat with a friend a couple of days ago. She'd done a beautiful weightlifting PB, and it's just, it says, at the physio, I literally do 20 kg heavier on a bar than I will at home. Yeah, it's different. Yeah. Yep. And I know it's safe, but it's like, oh, what happens? Just what happens if? Yeah. So getting up, shift work, I tend not to run before and early.
Yeah.
I hate a 4 a.m. alarm. They're not very much fun. Or you run home from night duty, or you run to your afternoon shift. Yeah, you fit it in, you make it work where it does.
You fit it in with what you're doing.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And have you found that it's helped to work? Because your work isn't particularly easy breezy.
I could do 10,000-12,000 steps at work without trying. Actually, I did a half marathon at work one day. When I was turning 50, I did 50 half marathons in 50 weeks for 50 years. And one of them, I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to fit this halfie in? And I was partway through the shift. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm just doing laps of the corridor here. So I turned my watch on.
Wow.
And I literally did a half marathon at work as a fast walk.
That's amazing.
Yep. Crazy stuff. You just fit it in. If you want to do something, you will fit it in and make it work.
Yeah.
Or you wing, or if not, you wing it and hope for the best.
Can you remember what it was like to be a nurse before you were a runner? Before you ran?
Yeah. I'm a lot fitter and probably cope better physically with the work now, because I'm fitter and stronger than what I did then. Yeah.
Yeah. So that being able to stay on your feet all day, as you just described.
Yeah.
It's not as big a deal. You probably don't even, I mean, you notice it, but it's just not as big a deal.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes your feet still ache or your legs still ache because of the amount and the intensity of the movement you've had to do at work. But the recovery's definitely quicker physically than what it was before running. Yeah.
Do you find the stress from work is easy to dissipate when you're able to go for a run?
Oh, absolutely. The stress of life, of home, of work, of everything. If you're able to get out and go for a run, or even just walk the dogs around the block, or just to get out and move outside, and a bit of vitamin C, SEA, or a bit of blue therapy, or a bit of green therapy up in the trees and the hills. Absolutely.
So when you are training, are you hitting the trails more than you are like the road, or is it
a bit of both?
What you have to fit in with your life, I suppose.
Yep. The closest trails to me here are about 5 kilometres away.
Okay.
O'Halloran Hill, or the beach is 1.5 k's. So, and it's an easy to get there. Yeah. And it's so it just depends what you're doing. It's easier to do speed work or intervals, I find, for me, along the beachfront. But then again, it depends on the time of the day and what the weather's doing, how many people are there, whether there is actually room. So sometimes the trails are
the dodging.
Yeah, especially with it, because I've generally got at least one dog with me, sometimes two.
Okay.
The older dog can only do 6K slow now. So it wouldn't take him for a run along the beach these days.
I started running with our Kelpie.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
He's not even a year yet, so I'm training him up to be my running dog.
Oh, I can't wait to see how far you can get with him. That'd be cool.
Well, we read something, and because like Simon and I, it was just another way to keep us running, we thought, and because he'll need exercise and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We live on land and he can run around here, but anyway, I read something about them, and it was like the only problem with them is that however far you can run, they can run another 10K. It tends to be. So it doesn't actually matter though. And if you get them into, say, running 50K or 60K, they'll just expect it then every day. Like, or they could be a really lazy couch dog if you never take them anywhere. So it's that kind of, they'll always want it.
Oh yeah. I'd love to put a watch on. We've got a little Staffy cross. And he thinks 10K is a warm up.
Yeah.
He's nuts. But I remember watching a black and white border collie down the beach chasing the waves, and I reckon they did about 5Ks to their owner's one. So yeah, just to know how far your dog actually runs.
Our 13-year-old border collie is he was black and white. He still comes all the way down to he does 5K, which includes a big hill. We've got a 1K hill here as well. So although he's starting to struggle because he's getting older. But he hasn't really taken him running. But yeah, those working dogs have that real, they're just able to go and go and go.
Absolutely.
We've got no hope as humans to keep up with them.
Nah. Do we have a need to keep up with them?
No. In fact, he's quite nice if I'm doing the running portion on the uphill. Yeah. Even though he's they're not a huge dog, he'll be pulling me up the hill. I'm like, oh, that's
really? How do you train your dogs to pull you up the hill? Because I haven't been able to get them to do that. I was like, come on, up the hill. Nah.
He just did it. I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. Cool. This must be what it's like to have a sled dog. When you see them. I just need the sled bit.
Absolutely. That'd be cool.
He's awesome. All right. Do you run with people, or do you mostly?
I prefer. A bit of both. I prefer to run with people. I run a lot further for a lot longer with people than by myself. And I listen to music by myself just in one ear, so you've still got that awareness of your surroundings and traffic and other people coming up behind you. But I find by myself I need something in my ear, whether it's a podcast or audio book or music or something, just to keep me going. But I can run with someone and chat along, and I do a lot further for a lot longer, easier with people.
Okay. And are they groups? Where do you get those? Where are those people coming from?
Where are those people? There's lots of different
these
groups.
People that you're running with.
There's lots of different groups around here. And if you did look on the socials, and there's always, a group that starts at 6 a.m. on a Thursday morning, or one that's at the uni loop at, 7 a.m. 2 mornings a week, or it just depends what's going on work-wise, whether you can get out or whether I can get out with someone. Sometimes it's just hubby and the dogs. Yeah. Just to try and get us moving. Yeah. It just depends what's going on in life and work and where I get out, but
it changes a little bit from time to time.
Yeah, it does. I've not ever had a regular join a group at 6 a.m. on a Monday morning, religiously. Yeah. Because if you've got work at 7, it doesn't work. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. Luckily, working for myself, I've got that group that I go to twice a week for 15 years. Same time, all the time. That's so cool. We can keep our clock by it. And there's a couple of nurses in there as well, and they come and go depending on their shifts. Well, I always feel sorry for them because of their shift work. No, but there's good things to shift work. Yeah, I know. You don't have to worry about the shop. The post office is only open until 5 p.m. or whatever, because you've got a chance to get there. Yeah, that's true. What are you thinking about when you're running? Oh, jeepers. What's for dinner? What do I need to get at the shops? How bloody far until have I only gone that far? Everything. Everything. All the things. And then try and get my mind back into, how many breaths am I doing like how many steps to each breath, and I should be doing odd numbers because that's better on your body than doing even numbers, and then you get sidetracked and look at that, there's a dog, I've got to stop and have a chat and kiss to that dog, and nice tree, nice plant, there's something sparkly. I think following my brain while I was doing anything could be a bit scary.
Probably some of those sparkle moments are actually really good because you're being really present. The dog and the koala and the whatever.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, you're so lovely.
Absolutely.
Let me just appreciate you for a minute.
Doesn't matter that it's in the middle of a run and you slow down, you stop, and then you got to start again. I have been
You're
left
right.
behind.
It doesn't matter.
No. I've been left behind lots of times because I've stopped to pat a dog, kiss a dog, whatever, and it's like, nah, she can catch up with us. It's like, okay, no worries.
I think that's awesome.
And I will not stop.
Good.
Stopping to catch up with the dogs.
I love it. When do you think you called yourself a runner?
Oh, well, that's tricky. I think that's a headspace thing because when I first ran, if I look back now, when I first did my first Sydney to Bay, because I ran I didn't stop and walk that at all. I ran that entire 12 kilometres without stopping. The speed may not have been, but that doesn't matter. Whether you are a back of the pack, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes, 9, whatever your speed is, if you are out running, you're a runner. But that's more of a head thing, I think, than because people compare themselves and getting around that brain space of not comparing yourself to someone who does a 3-hour marathon. Oh, they're a real runner and I'm not because I did 4 hours 50. But I still ran a marathon, so I'm still a runner.
I think it is a very individual type of thing, isn't it? Like, because some people I talk to who might have been running, I don't know, 30 years, they don't want to call themselves a runner. For some reason, they think this person over here is a runner and it looks like that, and that's not what they look like, and so they don't call themselves. Not that it matters, it's just an identity thing. It's just like a very individual kind of thing, which I think is fascinating itself. And
I don't ever recall saying I'm going for a jog, I'm going for a run. And that run could be anything, faster, slower, in between, depending on what you're doing. But, calling someone a jogger, it's not, we're runners, not joggers.
That's probably, where people lean, as you said, towards thinking of a jogger as someone who doesn't go very fast and a runner as someone who goes fast.
Yeah. No, there is no speed. There is no set speed that you have to get to.
Exactly. Okay, so when do you think you'll stop running?
Well, when I'm dead.
Life? Excellent. Good answer. There's no wrong answer, of course. Very good.
There are so many inspiring older runners out there, and I'm just being involved with conversations around the Australia. What's the Australian 6-day here in Adelaide at Thorndon Park? I think it's October. I can't remember. Anyway, it's something I think I've got the time to be involved with this year. And John Timms is in his 80s, and he gets out and he trudges that path for the entire 6 days. I've been watching, across the years in America, where the winner was an Australian woman, and watching the conversation between the winner and another woman who used to be Australian but lives in America now, who's older. And if I think older have a better brain space, and better able to face challenges and not letting so many little things get in the road, and not be fussed if your fingernail's broken or your fingernail paint's chipped or whatever may be. But so many inspiring older runners, 60s, 70s, 80s out there. It's just so good to see.
The trails are full of them, aren't they?
Yeah, but imagine their bone health. Like, especially for menopausal women who, you know, women in general need that at least body weight strength work to help with osteoporosis and, you know, getting into looking after your bone health and body health. So, yeah, how awesome. They're not going to fall over and break a hip more easily, which can
be the end of the end.
It can be the end of the end. That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. So, yeah. Moving's
the beginning
important.
of the end, whatever.
Oh no. If you fall over and break your hip as an older person, it can be the end of the end.
Well,
quite quickly.
Most of us have stories, don't we, where we've seen that. Moving on to if you hadn't started running, like, how do you think it's improved your life? So if you hadn't picked up running, what would you be missing now? But in a more positive way to ask that question is, how has running improved your life?
Just meeting so many people, seeing different. I had no idea. I'd lived in this house for years before I knew there was a trail 5 kilometres down the road.
No.
I had no idea there was a rec park and trails just there. And when I first went there, I was like, oh my goodness. So I've got to see some really cool places around Australia.
It's been good for exploring.
Oh, absolutely. Met some really cool people that are now cool, good friends that you wouldn't have met. Certainly moved away from yes, I enjoy a glass of wine or a gin and tonic, but certainly moved away from those just sitting down, drinking and eating, getting togethers. And, you know, you still might sit down. Well, you still do sit down and drink and eat, but it's what do you drink and what do you eat? And you've done a run or a walk beforehand, and met cool people and different thought processes, different lots and lots of positives, lots of getting out and seeing Australia. Australia's got so many cool places to see, and you get to see it intimately, getting out on the trails and then just driving past down the highway and, oh, look, there's a hill. I wonder what's in there. I think some koalas and kangaroos live in there. You actually get to see them in their habitat, and I wouldn't have done that. I would have gone up to Cleland to a wildlife park and seen the animals there, but that's different to actually seeing them in their natural. Yeah, absolutely.
There is something, like I even now get, it's all about feeling, I suppose, but when I go a place and I run it, I get a different feel for it than if I just drive through it or just, you know, walk around a little bit, because you can only cover a little bit too if you're just walking. But if I go for runs, I tend to be especially when I'm in travel mode, you know, if I'm off wherever, I will explore by jogging or running around.
However you get there, it's your choice.
But I get this feel for it. And then even when I'm driving through that place later, if I happen to be, I look at it and go, oh, I have this different feeling to it than if I just driven through it or just the experience. It's kind of an experiential thing. You kind of grounded in that environment or something, and you get to connect with it in a different, maybe it feels like a more real way, grounded way. Which I really appreciate. I just love that part of it.
Absolutely, it's beautiful, just beautiful. Like the property that we've got in the southern Flinders is very close to Talawi Gorge, which is a home to yellow-footed rock wallabies and goannas and, you know, huge skinks and all sorts of other things. I've driven past the signpost to that place for 50 years and not been in.
Wow.
Well, probably 52 years before I finally went in there. And oh my goodness gracious me. And it is, you know, 3 or 4 Ks off the highway.
And it's divine.
That I'd been driving past. And it's like, why haven't? I'm glad that it's a nice little kept secret. Yes. And we'll keep it that way.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. No, the southern Flinders is terrible. Do not visit.
Don't go there. Don't come to Tassie.
No. Keep away from the Tassie trails. Leave them for us.
Unless you're like-minded, then it's kind of cool. And if you're listening to this, you are. So you're welcome.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Look, I'll even provide you a place to sleep if you want to come up and see Talawi Gorge.
How cool.
Might be a swag, but
it's a place.
Wake up with views of the hills and but that it's just different, isn't it? Getting out and seeing and being there. Yeah, it's awesome.
Love it. I just love it. All right. I have already kept you ages and you have to go to work.
Oh, I've still got, I need to get changed in 2 hours. So I'm all right.
You're crazy. Is there anything about running that we haven't, that's right, that's what we're talking about. Is there anything about running that we haven't touched on that you'd like to talk about? Running in general. Well, I'll ask you some tips in a minute. So not beginner tip, but is there anything about running, about, well, anything about running or your experience with running that you want to share?
My lifesaver for running, apart from a good pair of shoes, was finding a good supportive bra. I've got a good set of girls, and finding something to hold them that didn't cut me to pieces and chafe. Oh my goodness. And
tell me what you found. Not that we're a product sponsorship. No, you could be helping save some other people.
Oh, do you know, it was after my first city to bay, so back 10 odd years ago, and the bra I wore that day I had for many years, and so you imagine the elasticity of it. Wasn't not and so the girls started to sneak out the bottom around the band that goes around your chest, and I looked like I had rope burn. Oh my goodness. And on the back, you got given a Sunday Mail because it was sponsored by the Sunday Mail, which is our weekly on a Sunday paper here in South Australia. And there was like a magazine in the middle, Body and Soul, and on the back of that there was an ad for this bra. And it's like, oh, I'm going to give it a go. And it then found some online at that point in time through Wiggle, I think it was, and it worked for me. Oh my goodness gracious. So no underwires, and they work for me. I know they don't, everyone's individual with what they do, but and it was like, oh, what a game changer.
What was it?
What a game changer.
Don't keep it a secret.
Night duty brain, you're lucky you got this much out of me. I'll have to let you know later on.
I just think I'm interested. I'm always after trying different things. And my body shape is changing. Not that this has become a woman's running only podcast. My body's
we're both female, so
and I'm like, that'd be interesting to know. I'm always on the lookout for to try new bras, I suppose.
And I still wear it 10 years down the track. I still wear that particular bra, so I should know.
Wow.
And I still buy that particular bra. And I've tried others along the way, and
and you still
doesn't work. I still go back to it. Which I'm impressed that they still make the same bloody bra, and like shoes don't change the
models
flame
all
and style and
all
the time. All the time, the rat bags.
I agree.
And when you get really sweaty, sticking a panty liner to your bra under your boob, and it absorbs the sweat. Oh my God, stops the chafing. Panty liners.
Never heard of that.
Should be in every first aid kit. Should be in every runner's pack. Should be. Stick it to your clothing.
That's
absorbs
hilarious.
The sweat. It's pretty gross when you take it off to have a shower and it thumps on the ground because it's full of sweat. But
my husband gets chronic blood noses. And we have been known,
tampons
exactly, in the car, because it's like, we've got no tissues. Oh, no, I think I've got a tampon in my bag. Hold on.
It fits. It's just right. It's made for a nose.
Oh my Lord.
So no, finding a good bra is a life changer. Because without it, I certainly wouldn't have run more. I don't think either.
Mind you, you see some of those the blokes finishing marathons and whatever with they need a good bra too. They need those liners over their nipples.
I've got a friend who, even a short distance, his nipples bleed. Oh my goodness gracious me! But I have actually seen a man running topless with tape over his nipples, and it's like, I'm not sure why you're doing that, but anyway,
if he's got no top on,
he's a quirky fellow, and that's his thing. So
so he didn't have a top on and take it off.
No. No.
Okay.
And when you volunteer for events, you get to see all these different quirky people.
Okay, it works for him. What can you say?
Exactly right, and he's not harming anyone doing it. So
no. That's really interesting. I'm going to think about that. Anyway, It has been amazing to talk to you, and you have been just a bubbling delight of running joy. I would like to finish off by asking you if you have some tips for beginner runners.
Oh, find a good pair of shoes. Get fitted for a pair of shoes so you know they're going to work for you, and get out the door. Yeah. Put your clothes out the night before and just get out and do it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No matter how slow you go and how short it is, just get out there and do it. Yeah.
Just do a Nike ad. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, exactly.
Stop procrastinating.
Learn what jeffing is. Yeah, people go, oh no, I'm walking and running, and it's like, yeah, I've been passed by people doing that in a marathon. He beat me. I was running the whole time, and he went faster than me doing what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with jeffing.
It's just fine. Like I've even had, some elite runners on here, and they talk about, especially trail running, walking is just a part of the game, and walking is fine. Just because you're going for a run doesn't mean you can't walk as well. Like,
absolutely.
Such a revolution for some people. It's like
less chance of choking when you're actually walking with your drinking your food, or at the top of the hill, and you've got so far, and just finish off, and then run the flats, run downhill, and just that's right. You're still moving. You're still out there.
I like the walking uphill, running down, and flats, and that sounds good to me.
Yeah, perfect.
Unless it's too steep going down, then you maybe shouldn't run.
Yeah, and that takes a bit of training to learn, doesn't it, when it gets a bit steep and a bit technical. Exactly. But it's good when you achieve it, though.
It is always feel like a kid. That's what I like.
It is. And
it's like, wee. I actually go, wee.
and at Derby on those Derby, on those mountain bike trails, being an aeroplane flying around the corners on the switchbacks.
On the burns, I like that. Yeah. I do that. They've got one in the Trevelyan Reserve, and not supposed to run on them, but we do.
Well, as you should.
This is our park too, not just the mountain bikers. And sticking your hands out and pretending like you're a little.
You have to. I think it's a part of not growing up is flying around the corners, rolling down sandhills.
I love it. I think it's amazing. Okay, Michelle, you have been a delight. I'm hoping to run into you in person over the next few years, because I need to do some longer runs again and get into some longer trails. All you guys talking about these incredible distances on the trails, making me feel like I should do some.
I have no yearning to do a 200 miler though. No yearning at all. I'm happy doing what I do there. No, I'm happy doing shorter distances now, I reckon.
What's shorter though?
50, 80k, I reckon.
Right.
I reckon.
Yeah. So short. Not so short. Short, not so short.
So I got another little story. I was at a shoe shop, a running shoe shop, and I was training for a 100-mile run at that point in time, and this girl was there talking about middle distance, and I'm thinking, how far is that? And she said something about 3, and I'm like, I wonder if that's 30k. No, 3,000 meters. And we were on total opposite ends of the distance spectrum.
That's like the marathon, run a marathon. Yeah. 5K.
5K marathon.
Yeah, did that one.
Yeah.
Every day.
It is. It is funny, isn't it?
It is. It's totally, you realise we are in a bubble.
We are.
The running bubble.
It's a good bubble.
It is, and within our bubble there are other bubbles.
Yes, there are.
Yes, there are. Like the people who put the band-aids on their nipples when they don't need it, because they go
when they don't need a shirt. Yeah, that's
another
exactly
bubble.
Right. I can share stories, but
might
now we don't have time.
And maybe when you're a volunteer, some of that stuff is confidential.
Oh no, I wasn't volunteering.
I'm teasing.
For a couple of these. I was crewing. Yeah, did crewing. But
no, well, that's okay then. If you're just crewing, that's fine. You can tell
the craziest thing I've seen was when I was crewing. But that's a story for another day. Yeah.
Maybe we should have a whole podcast on stories that
that
you've seen crewing.
Oh my goodness gracious me! Yeah, actually, I've said a couple of crazy things, but anyway.
That'll be hilarious. All right. Let you go and have dinner with your family.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Hopefully someone else is cooking it for you. Don't know why I said that.
Oh, don't know. We haven't had that. We haven't had that discussion in our house yet.
Oh, there you go.
And it's we'll see. We'll see
what happens for dinner. And you have a good time at work tonight, and that you enjoy your time in Western Australia.
I will love Western Australia.
And I know you're going to be. Are you race directing something soon?
That's Western Australia. Oh, in South Australia, and Western. So I'm race directing Delirious West next week. So yeah.
And then and then something in South Australia. What's
Irrational South, which is the 200 and 100 miles through the Flinders Ranges.
Excellent.
Yeah, can't wait.
I already put the links up in Sean's episode, which came out today.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Put them up in yours as well. Why not?
Yeah. So
good.
As
you'll be directing them. And then people can come and meet you in person. How cool would that be?
Oh, most people hear me before they see me, apparently. So I've been told. Yeah.
That's a good warning. They won't get a surprise.
And I generally wear something sparkly.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Sequins are good.
For running or just race directing?
Oh, no, not for running. They cut. They're bastards.
Yeah, I was thinking sequins. They might be nice.
No. For race directing. Yeah, they reflect lights and things. But yeah, it's all good.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Don't jump off completely, because I will say goodbye to you off the recording as well.
All right.
I need to get some things from you.
Yeah.
But
Thanks
I
really
appreciate the time that you spent. It's been quite fun and inspirational, like I knew that you would be. Especially
thank you.
Got an awesome name. So.
That's right. That's the main thing.
All right, I will see you out in the track and also on the other side of this.
Thank you. See you later.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Mind, Fit Body podcast. I'd love to talk to you about your running journey. So send me a message on Facebook or on the website, and let's do it. For a bunch of resources on mindful running that will help you get and stay mentally and physically fit, head over to the website fitmindfitbody.co, and I'll see you there. Plus, I'll be back here in your podcast player a few times a week. Hit subscribe now so that you don't miss an episode. And before you go, I'd really appreciate it if you'd leave a review. It'll help more people to find the podcast and get inspired to start running. I'll see you soon. Bye.